This is one of the biggest ones. This is one of the biggest questions I get asked of new buyers. And in this video, I'm going to address it once and for all. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And on today's video, I'm going to keep it short, sweet, and right to the point. I'm going to give it to you straight from the beginning so that if you don't want to watch me ramble on about my passion, which is real estate, then you can just take what I'm giving away and just go on about your day. So new construction versus an older resale home. So for those of you who just want the answer, it's up to you. That's the answer. You can go on up. No, I'm just kidding. But in reality, a new construction home right now at the time of this recording in 2022, January 2022, will probably go a longer way than trying to get outbid out in the resale market. Now, there's nuances to this. I wish you could stick around and watch the rest of the video, but if you can't, I completely understand. The answer, however, is going to be different for every single person. Okay, so why would I choose a new construction home? It's something that I would choose right now. It's not something that I would choose all the time. And let me explain. It depends on what your timeline is. But the average timeline for buyers that I'm working with is about 60 to 90 days, right? We don't need to go under contract right away because the process from getting under contract, which means your offer was accepted, to closing, which means the lender has funded the transaction and you signed all the appropriate paperwork, it's about 30, sometimes 45 days, usually 30 days. So most of my buyers can go a little past that because whatever the reason, everybody's different. So let's say that you have 90 days. Let's say you have 120 days. Let's say you have between 2 to 4 months. Here's what I like about new construction. So it's not always built from scratch, okay? New construction sales offices, when I talk to them on your behalf as a buyer, I get the lowdown on what's available now, which sometimes they do because sometimes people will put down a deposit and they never go through with buying it, or they built something that they didn't really market that well, so they built it, or maybe the builder is only building it once you put a deposit. So most builders do things differently, right? So what we want in this 60 to 120 day timeline is what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to that sales representative and I'm going to tell them, look, this is how much time we have, depending on your situation. This is the budget we have. This is what we're looking for. And I'll look at the resources online and say, hey, what about this model, this model, this model, this model? And what happens is they'll tell me, okay, for model A, I can have one ready in about 60 days. For model B, start to finish from the very beginning, it's going to be 120 days, maybe, right? And that's another thing to be very conscious of. Especially right now at the time of this recording. It's tough to get a lot of the materials and it's tough to get a lot of the manpower that it requires to build homes right now. So these estimates of time might shift. So it's very important to keep that in mind. And then, so house A, ready in 60 days, they're actually halfway through. House B needs to be built from the ground up, foundation all the way up, 120 days. House C is going to be ready in about 2 weeks. Now, here's the beautiful part about the differences in between a new construction and a resale home. When it comes to a resale home, if there are any advantages to the seller, okay, let's compare the builder and the seller. If there's any advantage to the seller is going to take that advantage, period, end of story. It's been my experience, however, that the builder is always going to have consistent pricing unless there's a fluctuation in material costs, unless it's like builders build a subdivision in sections. So section 1, section 2, 3, and 4 might have different prices. But if we're talking about all things equal, one section, the prices, regardless of the stage, is going to stay the same. So right now it's just a matter of speed and how quickly can you close, right? Or how slowly can you close? Whereas the seller, something similar would be the condition of the home. If the home needs a lot of work, in a market like the one that we're in right now, I'm seeing buyers, not my buyers, I'm seeing buyers pay above ask and above full retail price and above that for houses that need a lot of work. And why is that? Well, maybe they get told that their bid is the highest or something. For whatever reason, they decide that that's the best course of action. Well, what are their options? To go back out there on the market after they've already been told that theirs is one of the highest, to maybe, hey, what can you do better on your offer? right? Versus a new construction home that no matter what stage you're in, it's all the same price. So that's the tricky part, right? Because these are things that as a consumer, you're not readily seeing. Is that I'm not saying that a contract price can change for no reason on behalf of the seller. No, it cannot. But what I am saying is that if a seller is seeing a lot of action, a lot of interest in the home, not only can they change the listing price, but they can also change their mind after verbally accepting your offer. So yeah, human nature. There's that. That's something you have to deal with when it comes to sellers. Now, I'm not trying to paint in broad strokes, and I'm not saying this always happens, because it doesn't. Ultimately, sellers just want to sell. But there is that small 6 to 7% of sellers that are going to milk it for what it's worth. You'll see a lot of this in for sale by owner homes, and you'll see this in a lot of homes that need a lot of repair because they might be in a desirable area. They're not going to give any concession. They're not going to give way to a better price regardless of the condition of the home. So this is why I say specifically in this market where there's not a lot of homes that are available on the for sale that are older homes. There's not a lot available compared to how many buyers there are. There's plenty of new construction, at least in our area, and there continues to be, and there will continue to be, because I read 2 days ago, there's a couple of builders that have doubled down on purchasing land to start to break ground on some of the more active areas. So those houses that are in the neighborhoods that are highly desirable, but these are neighborhoods that are no longer building, they're not going to make more of those. So there's only the ones that are available. So it's supply and demand. And, you know, the seller, it's their home. You're regardless of what you put on a piece of paper as an offer, you're not going to appeal to the reason. Like, hey, it's not worth that. No, it's not going to happen. So what I suggest is if you would like to go with a new construction home, here's the only drawback that I'm seeing consistently with purchasing new construction homes. And you know what? If I was on the market for a new home, personally, I would wait. That's just me because I can wait, right? Not everybody can, right? Some have to buy and some, for whatever reason, they have to sell. So therefore they have to buy. So for me personally, I would wait, but I wouldn't personally go with a new construction home unless I could find some that are built like these, mid-90s, late 80s type homes, like 3-sided brick, high ceilings, formal sitting area, formal dining area, foyers. Like the new construction homes, unfortunately, a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them are going for something that's more quick and efficient. And they're not giving you a lot of entertainment space. They're not giving you high ceilings. They're not giving you, well, some of them are giving you offices, but not all of them are giving you offices. It's a bit of a shame. You know, it is what it is. They gotta make their money. But at the same time, if you're anything like me and you like that style, you're looking for something unique like that, then, you know, you gotta head over to the competitive market, which is fine. Because here's what I want to leave you with. If you have to jump into that market, hopefully by now you know that I'm going to tell you to get a real estate agent to help you. You have to. You absolutely have to. It's crazy out there. I like to say, it's like going into the Amazon without a guide. You can't do that. You can't. But anyways, if you absolutely have to, first you got to practice patience, obviously. But secondly, you have to study, and your real estate agent can do this for you. You have to study the pockets. And here's the beautiful thing about being in a very diverse market like Houston, where even if you cross 2 streets down, it's a completely, not only a different neighborhood, but a different price range, a different style of home. It's a different everything. It changes. Everything changes, right? So there's neighborhoods like the one that I live in that is zoned to some of the most desirable school districts. Slightly older built, but I get my formals, whatever, at maybe half the price of the same product, of the same type of house, 2 neighborhoods down. Now, why is that? Well, it needed work. That's the difference. So that's why in a previous video, I told you that you need to be ready to be flexible and maybe take on projects. You don't have to take on projects. You can go get a new construction home and there's no projects there. And then we'll dive deeper into the step-by-step for new construction home purchase. We'll dive deeper into the actual purchase of a home in another video, and it might already be out. So go through the library and check it out. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and go get yourself a house in 2022. You've earned it. You've worked your butt off. You deserve it. And if I can answer any questions, I'll leave my email down below. I'm happy to help.